Hey guys, how's it going? Azrach Collections here, and today we're back with another action figure review. This time we're looking at another KO figure. This time it's the NECA Batman vs. Alien action figure pack. So quickly looking at the box basically has a Batman logo at the front. Also the Batman, looks like the animated logo up front here. We've got the alien head, looks like here. Oh, that looks like the alien egg, to be honest. I'm not much of an alien fan, so I'm not too sure, but that looks like an alien egg. So we've got the alien egg here, and it says aliens down there. 20th Century Fox logo down at the right, and DC logo at the bottom left. There's a warning up top for choking hazard. On this side, there's basically nothing from top to bottom, nothing on the other side, and nothing at the back either. So pretty basic packaging, pretty bland, and it's got like an open window box. So that's kind of cool, but nothing else on the packaging, only the front. So here we have the figure tray out of packaging, and basically all we get with this package is a Batman figure, which is this one here. We've got the Alien Joker figure. I think that's the Alien Joker. So it looks pretty intimidating and big here. We've got an extra Batman hand, which is a gripping kind of hand. 2 fists on Batman that come with the figure, and also a Batarang. So that's all we get. So pretty light on the accessories, but the figures look pretty cool. Let's take a closer look. So before we look at the figures, let's take a closer look at the accessories. We get a cool little Batarang, which is painted in like a really weird kind of gray. It's very light, so it's not the worst, but it's not the best either, so it looks alright. It's just a Batarang. And we get a Batarang holding hand, or a trigger holding hand, or a trigger hand basically, which looks alright. And I guess flat paint, so nothing really to complain here except for that flaky part there. So I could probably scrape that off. That's the only thing that stands out. Everything else just looks normal. So here we have both of the action figures standing in the light box, and I've got so many problems just to begin with. I'll go into closer details later on, but the alien basically cannot stand without the tail touching the ground. The leg ankles are too loose, and that's the only way I could get it to stand. Batman has a lot of weird joint issues. I'll try to fix it with like a little bit of heat, but the body shape and basically all the sculpture looks really good because lifted straight from NECA. But the way the body joins together, the joints, they're done very horribly. So I'll take you into details next, but yeah, basically that's what they look like standing like up and down right out of the packaging. So first we'll take a look at Batman and all of his problems. Basically, looking at Batman's face close up, the face doesn't look that bad. I mean, it's sculpted by NECA again, so the sculpt is pretty good. The chest looks pretty cool as well. There's a lot of details, a lot of good sculpt work. The belt is glued like a little bit askewed, so it's just really messy. Yeah, it's not the best. The belt looks a little bit difficult. The abs, everything in the sculpt basically looks really awesome. The hands, I don't see any issues with them, so they're properly aligned, but the leg, like that part is sticking out so bad. So I couldn't get the figure to stand properly unless I'm doing like, I don't know, just making it really awkward to stand. The leg, this leg is basically a little bit behind the other leg, and this leg is like shifted forward. I don't know how that happened. The boots, the top of the boots don't align to the middle. I'm not sure if I can rotate this. I couldn't, but yeah, I tried. There's a separation here. I don't know what that is. And there are plenty of issues. I'll go into articulation next, but I'll just try to see if I can heat it up and fix the figure first. The ankle, this one is very loose and it's sitting awkwardly on the boot. Like it's, if you can see that, it's sitting a little bit in front of the actual cavity, whereas this one's sitting flush. So this one is alright, the other one just looks messy. So there's plenty of problems. I'll try to see if I can fix it with some heat, but yeah, it's really awkward. So after about 15 minutes and a lot of heat, I kind of got the figure to look a little bit better. I actually popped all joints, so basically this joint I popped completely, so the waist now can come apart. I've put it back on so that we can continue with the review. I also had to basically pull these apart. So what this is basically, I'll try to pull it apart now so that you can see as well. Oh, so that's how it pulls apart. Sorry, it took a little bit longer than expected. But basically, it's like a soft piece here, and this basically is like a joint ball socket kind of thing, right? So it joins into the socket like this, and it's sitting on this crotch piece here, which basically this side was too small, so I had to Dremel a bit of it out to make it a little bit bigger so that it fits in well, because this adapter basically requires more allowance for this to fit in. And then previously it was fitting in, but because the hole was too small, it was pushing the whole leg to the right side of the body. So I had to basically just Dremel that out a little bit, and now it's working a little bit better. I also managed to free the boot joints, so they now move consistently. In that process, I did manage to break this, so it's a lot floppy now because I was trying to see what's in there. Basically, it's a joint that's created within. I don't know how to say it. Basically, there's a bar that goes across that's sculpted with the boot, and then I think this is basically just casted with the whole thing together. So yeah, that kind of broke a little bit, so that's very floppy, but everything else seems to be fixed. With all of those procedures, Batman does stand a little bit better. I've basically popped the legs back in. While we've got the figure standing, let's look at the articulation. Figure's head can look up that much, which is not that much. You can look down that much, which is not a bad kind of distance. So it's a fair enough kind of articulation. The shoulders can go up that much. There's nothing on the neck, so shoulders can go up that much. But it can rotate around fully, and the joints aren't too hindered, which is very nice. The biceps cannot rotate for me at the moment. It's probably stuck. Double joint in the elbows can go up to that much, which is pretty nice. And a hinge at the wrist, which is alright, and back and forth. So that's pretty much a lot of back and forth, which is pretty good. The abs can crunch up about that much, which is very, very, very nice. And it can go back not that much, so it can go forward a lot, not back that much. The waist is on a swivel hinge, so yeah, it could go all the way like around 360, which works. Legs can kick out about that much, which is all right. Yeah, this part really sucks, but I think I've got it at a stage where it does stay in and it's not like that flimsy, so that works. So it can stand, so yeah, it can kick out splits that much, go forward that much, which is, I mean, not that bad. I mean, it's not the best, but it works. Can't go back that much because of the butt, but it still can go back and out, which is all right. Double joint in the knees, they're very flimsy, but yeah, it can go back that much, which is not that bad. But then yeah, the material is a bit flexible, so it's kind of like going back to its original shape. The boots have a hinge or a swivel hinge that can rotate, and the ankles can go back and forth, and there's pivot, which is pretty cool, and there is articulation at the toe, which is stuck for me. Hold on. There you go, that's released. That's articulation at the toe. So that's all the articulation you get Batman. And even after all of that, he can still stand, I guess. Hopefully he can, but he does look very wonky. Next up, we've got the Alien, and if you thought Batman was bad, this guy is even worse. So this guy cannot stand because of these things here. So the ankles are absolutely horrible. The sculpt work looks pretty awesome because lifted straight from NECA, and the paint work is not that bad. I mean, it's just a white figure with a lot of crevices that are not painted in, so it might just be like a dark colored plastic with a lot of white brushed onto it. So in that regard, it's not that bad, but there's a lot of good sculpt details, but it's still a pretty weird figure simply because it can't stand. And it's, I don't know, aliens are supposed to be very weird as well, so it's pretty tall in that regard and very difficult to pose, which I don't know if that's what's supposed to happen, but it can't stand on its own unless the tail supports it. So it's a really weird figure. As you can probably tell by how I sound, it's not the best action figure to review. I'll just quickly go through the articulation for Alien. His head can go up that much, go down that much. There's quite a range of motion. It can look left and right without any issues, so that's pretty cool. Shoulders can break, or yeah, it's just the peg coming out. But shoulders can go up, not that much. I'm struggling at the moment and I'm not gonna push it anymore. But shoulders should be able to go up if you heat it up. It has got double joints, but I can only activate the top of the elbow, which gives you good range of motion. I think the bottom should be able to activate as well, but I can't get it to activate. It's got a it's got a elbow swivel, which works all right. The hands have a wrist peg that I can't, yeah, it's probably stuck because of the paint, I don't know what it is, but it should be able to swivel and hinge. We've got finger articulation, which can do that, which is pretty shitty. The torso can pretty much just swivel around and like do a little bit of back and forth, so there's not much crunching and there's not much like extending to the back. The legs can go forward that much. There is a double joint here at the knee, or what's like a knee for a human being, and it basically can it jut forward? I don't know, I'm really afraid of breaking this one. Yeah, it's really flexible material and it's really weird. I don't know, it doesn't want to come forward, but it looks like it can. It's probably just paint sticking it to the figure, and the ankles are just a mess. And the tail luckily has wires in it, which basically if you pose it, it will stay in that pose. So that's the only, I guess, good thing. Other than that, everything pretty much sucks. So just a quick update, when I was doing articulation with the Batman, this part chipped off, so the paint chips as well, so please be careful with your KO figures. And because I was fixing this, now this part is a loose mess, unless I shove it in there, which basically makes it a little bit better. But yeah, it's not the best action figure, and I don't think there's a lot of value to it. I mean, if you just want the Batman to stand somewhere, he'll still look cool, but you'll have a lot of problems and issues you have to deal with to make it, it's not worth it basically. Just in terms of size comparison, and it just looks really awkward, but the Alien stands really tall in front of Batman. Aliens would usually hunch up and their knees are bent, so like technically he would not look as tall, but if you extend the whole figure, that's how tall it looks. And because the Alien's so hard to deal with, I'll probably not compare Alien to any other action figure. We'll just do comparisons with Batman, and I would just see how it scales with other figures. So in terms of heights, Batman does scale incredibly well with the McFarlane 7-inch action figures. I was a bit surprised that it scales that well, but it's a completely different style, so it doesn't fit in terms of style and the joints and all of that, but it does fit in terms of scale. So on the extreme left, we've got the Robert Pattinson Batman, which is a little bit taller. I think Robert Pattinson is a tall guy, so it might work. Next to him, we've got the DC Rebirth Batman from McFarlane. That works perfectly well with this Batman, the NECA KO Batman. And on the extreme right, we've got the Zur and R Batman, which is a little bit bigger, but I think just all in all, it scales alright. Alright, so I'm very disappointed with the action figure, so I don't want to go any further with any other comparisons. Basically, the Alien can't even stand anymore because I moved his joints around, and then now they're too floppy to even stand. So he's basically just a pile on the left there, and the only reason he is semi-standing is because of his tail. With Batman, the Batman's not too bad in terms of sculpts because it's lifted straight from NECA, but the joints and the plastic and the material, they're all pretty bad. So you could still get him for the head sculpt, maybe, but you could probably buy other people that have basically recast the head sculpt for a cheaper price. This whole thing cost me about $35 Australian dollars. So that's, if you really look at the actual NECA figures, and Aliens fell over. If you look at the actual NECA figures on the secondary market now, they probably cost upwards of $300. So in that sense, you're getting this for like a fraction of the price. So if you still want like the Batman in your collection for some reason, and you don't mind him standing right at the back, just, you know, just as a symbol of him being there, although it's not usable, then it's alright. But if you want this figure to do anything more than just be there, it's not gonna do much. The articulation is bad, the way the figure's put together is bad, the joints are bad, everything about the set is pretty terrible, so I would stay away from it. I got it just for this review, and I might use the Batman for some custom parts, but I wouldn't recommend getting the Batman or the Alien.